Questions,
the expert advice,
the latest trends. It's a lot simpler. We'll help people make the right auto decisions.
it's stuff, geeky stuff, secrets, so that you can discover, decide, and drive. I'm Siddharth Sharma, and I am your automate.
After the roaring success in Delhi, Hyderabad and Mumbai, the NDTV DP World PGTI Golf Pro-Am now travels to Ahmedabad. India's finest professionals, the city's most accomplished business leaders. Great golf, great company. NDTV DP World PGTI Golf Pro-Am. The course of champions, the conversation of leaders. 8th March, Kalhar Blues and Greens, Ahmedabad.
इनको यहाँ से जाना ही होगा।
There is no bigger battle in 2026. And nobody has reported Bengal like I have. Buckle up for an unforgettable election thriller. Will the BJP breach Mamta's fortress?
टीएमसी जावे, बीजेपी आसमे।
Can Didi fight off her life's biggest challenge?
বিজেপি ডাবল ইঞ্জিন সরকার এই লড়াই বাঁচতে হবে।
Battleground Bengal with Manogya Loiwal.
What seems settled for me is unfinished business. So I rewind, I pause, I reflect, I dig until what's buried stands up to be counted. Breaking ground, not just headlines, the meaning behind them. This is Breaking Ground with me, Vedika Sood.
West Asia at war. Netanyahu thanks Prime Minister on NDTV.
I spoke to our great friend, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, spoke to him at length yesterday, thanked him for his standing with Israel, standing for the truth.
Israel opposition leader Yair Lapid speaks to NDTV.
So you just mentioned that you want to learn Python. So do not learn Python in manual way in 2025 because learning Python in manual way will take you like 6 months of your time. On top of that, you'll be ultra non-productive in Python because when you use AI inside your Python, when you use AI tools to do your Python coding, you'll be saving upwards of 95% of your time while you're coding, while you're debugging, while you're building web apps, and while you're scraping as well, right? So for tackling this same problem, we found like 10 useful tools for day-to-day Python development and Python work. So we have developed a program which is like absolutely beginner friendly. Even if you have zero knowledge in Python, you can join this program, and in 30 days you will be becoming pro of Python, that also using AI. You will be not becoming a Python developer, you will be becoming a 10x Python developer. And the best part, like we have democratized this program, so this 30-day program is just for rupees 199. Can you believe that?
Witnessed history being made in global capitals and conflict zones. Brought clarity to complex issues of national security and international affairs. Aditya Raj Kaul, covering international affairs like no one else. Only on NDTV network.
The man behind Roaring Lion.
Can you say a word?
Israel's warfighter Prime Minister on NDTV.
I spoke to our great friend, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, spoke to him at length yesterday, thanked him for his standing with Israel, standing for the truth.
Welcome back. You're watching Breaking Ground at 1 p.m. I'm Vedika Sood. Here's wishing all our viewers a very happy Holi. First, as always, we'll take you through the headlines, which continues our rolling coverage on the Mid-East crisis. Iran unleashes fresh attacks on U.S. bases in Middle East after U.S. Consulate. Iran attacks U.S. base in Bahrain and Qatar. Iran continues to pound Israel. New wave of ballistic missiles launched by Iran. Israel sounds alert. US President Donald Trump's strategy to escalate war with Iran. US media says Trump open to supporting armed militias in Iran to take on the Iranian regime. No final decision on providing arms yet. Hezbollah targets residential area in Israel. Hezbollah's direct hit on house in Israel, 4 injured. Israel hits back with missiles attack on Lebanon. Mojtaba, son of Khamenei, elected Iran's new supreme leader, chosen Khamenei's successor by Iran's assembly of experts. We begin with breaking news at the top of 1 p.m. here on Breaking Ground. Iran has claimed the largest U.S. radar in the Gulf has been destroyed. That's the latest that we have for you, that Iran has claimed it's destroyed a $1.1 billion U.S. AN/FPS-132 radars. Now, radars such as AN/FPS-132 are indispensable for modern air defense system because they enable timely detection, tracking, and interception. Let's go across to Ghazali, who joins me live. Ghazali, if true, this is a huge loss for the US because for the modern air defense system, radars such as the one we're talking about are indispensable.
Yeah, certainly that is also a big concern for the Middle Eastern countries because they all allowed US to develop its base there, thinking that perhaps they will be safe in times of conflict. And that entire raison d'etre, that why they allowed US to develop its base, seems to have now busted. As you rightly pointed out, this entire invincibility of US air defense or Israeli air defense getting busted by Iran is a clear reality. And some of the Gulf rulers in private conversations, as reported by the Western media, have also lamented that they have been dragged into this war. They were not part of this war. It was Israel and US's war with Iran, but the war has been brought to their doorstep, and they are in a dilemma as well because they don't want to get dragged into the war. So that is why there has been no offensive from the Gulf countries, despite Iran repeatedly, till the 5th day today, has been attacking all the US assets in the region.
Ali, thanks for joining me live there. That's the latest that we have for you, that an US early warning system seems to be hit. Ghazali reporting there from the newsroom. Let's take you through some of the defining images that show you the widespread impact both in Israel as well as Iran and the larger Gulf region. Huge plume of smoke seen in Beirut's skyline as Israel continues to pound Lebanon, targeting the Hezbollah. Beirut woke up to sounds of drones targeting the city. Iran continues to target US bases. Iran drones have now targeted a US base in Bahrain. The military base in Sakhir area was hit. The night sky over Jerusalem flashes with interceptions as fresh Iranian rocket salvos streak in. Sirens blare across multiple cities, forcing residents repeatedly into shelters. The non-stop missile fire shows no signals of easing as tensions intensify. Video shows an Iranian missile that failed and fell within Iranian territory. The missile failed and reportedly hit civilians in the area. Israel confirms strikes on what it calls an Iranian nuclear development facility, including the Minzadai compound. Tel Aviv says the site was linked to weapons development. The operation signals a direct attempt to cripple Iran's nuclear infrastructure. The UK Ministry of Defence releases footage it says shows British F-35 jets intercepting hostile drones over Jordan, the first such combat operation. The jets, backed by RAF Typhoons and refueling aircraft, were launched after a Shahed drone evaded radar near Akrotiri. Mourning continues in Iran over the death of Khamenei. Large crowds of people in the city of Yazd were seen gathering on the streets to mourn the death of Iran's supreme leader. US and Israeli forces attacked Mehrabad airport in Tehran. After the strikes, thick black smoke rose over the city. A passenger plane was destroyed following the US-Israeli attack on that airport. Israel and US continue to bombard Iran. The video here shows aftermath of US-Israeli bombing on Azadi Square in Tehran. A video has been shared by Iran media showing Chinese workers who captured moments of Iranian missile strikes on targets in the UAE. Images from Minab in Iran, where a girls' school was hit, show crowds mourning. The UN has called the strike that reportedly killed 150 students absolutely horrific. Iran has released footage of Khyber Shekhan missiles that are being used to target US-Israeli targets. These are the same missiles that were used to target Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office. On to other updates. Attacks have sharply escalated across the Middle East. In the latest, Israel Air Force has targeted Hezbollah bombing parts of South Beirut. This is Israel's continuous targeting of Hezbollah infrastructure inside Lebanon. Iran has also fired a fresh wave of ballistic missiles at Israel. Ballistic missiles were seen over Tel Aviv. As per US government, Iran had launched 500 missiles and 200 drones at them so far. Earlier, Iran's Mehrabad airport that we just brought to you the visuals and the impact on it in Tehran was struck in a major blow as part of ongoing military action, with smoke seen over the capital following what Iranian sources describe as US-Israeli strikes on key targets. US President Donald Trump, meanwhile, maintained that Iran wanted to attack first and that the US and Israel preempted that and attacked first.
We were having negotiations with these lunatics, and it was my opinion that they were going to attack first. They were going to attack. If we didn't do it, they were going to attack first. I felt strongly about that. And we have great negotiators, great people that do this very successfully and have done it all their lives very successful. And based on the way the negotiation was going, I think they were going to attack first. And I didn't want that to happen. So if anything, I might have forced Israel's hand. But Israel was ready and we were ready, and we've had a very, very powerful impact because virtually everything they have has been knocked out now. Their missile count is going way down.
This is an escalating situation all across the Middle East. What we are learning now from the IDF in a new statement, the IDF has claimed that all those soldiers in the Iranian security forces and the Iranian military who were responsible for the air defenses have now been eliminated. What we are learning is that at least 40 missiles were launched, and in fact, Israeli strikes have been seen in Tehran and other areas where the air defense batteries were in fact located, and that has been completely devastated. This is the latest that we are picking up from Israel and Iran in the latest turn of events. Israel measures, and all those soldiers responsible for the air defense have been eliminated. This happens just minutes after Iran also launched a barrage of missiles against Israel, but also against the US interests in UAE as well as in Iraq. We have had reports since early morning that the US consulate in Dubai came under attack, although there were no casualties reported. The parking lot of the US consulate came under attack, in which multiple drones hit the parking lot. Apart from that, the US base in Baghdad also came under attack. There were some infrastructure damage that was reported there as well.
Now, Iran has made it very clear that it will continue to target US bases, military bases, and establishments across the Middle East. I'm going to put up for you a map now that shows the impact of what they have said. Across the Middle East, as you can see here, a lot of those military bases have been hit, be it Jordan, Syria, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Iran, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, Oman, Yemen, Israel, Iraq. You're seeing, especially in the Middle East areas here, how it has been hit, be it Iraq, be it Saudi Arabia, where you're seeing a lot of those military bases that have been hit, the UAE as well. So that is the impact when it comes to Iran striking US bases in the Middle East. Now let's put up another graphic for you. This shows how America has closed some of its embassies in the Mideast. In Saudi Arabia, embassy urges Americans to shelter in place. Remember, yesterday they said that we cannot help the US nationals here. You take the help of the regime there, but we cannot even back that up by saying it's safe to go or not. So US nationals in the area have been left to themselves. Moving on to Lebanon now. The embassy there closed due to ongoing regional tensions. Also, as part of the ongoing regional tensions, the Kuwait embassy has been closed indefinitely. So you're seeing the impact when it comes to Iran stating that it will continue to target all the establishments linked to the US, be it the embassies, the consulates, be it the military bases. They will be impacted, and we've seen some of that through the maps that we have just brought to you. Now, talking about drones, the Shahed 136 drones, cheap one-way attack weapons, have been pounding targets across the Middle East, striking US bases, oil facilities, and even civilian buildings. US-made Patriot air defense systems have intercepted most of them, but at a steep cost. Shiv Arur breaks down the economics and the strategy behind Iran's drones versus America's Patriots.
I want to show you just how cheap these drones are compared to more advanced drones that are used for similar missions. First of all, how do they actually change the game? They are low cost, which means they are expendable and there is no financial pinch. They are very, very easy to build. You saw that drone, a man was just manhandling it, which means they are elementary, they're rudimentary, they're simple and easy to build very quickly in large numbers at scale. Number three, disproportionate capability for damage. You've seen the Shahids smashing into targets in different Gulf countries and causing untold damage, which means a $35,000 drone is capable of causing a geometrically more amount of damage than it was built for. It's cheap enough to deploy in swarms because the operator doesn't mind losing them. They can be sent out in large numbers. They deplete the air defenses of countries like Israel and others by forcing their air defense systems to constantly send out missiles to engage them. Therefore, you're depleting the enemy's air defenses. The attacker spends thousands of dollars. The defender spends millions of dollars. That is the mathematical key to how these drones actually work. Now let's show you a little bit about the figures. I showed you the Shahid drone, which is where this entire story started. They cost anywhere between $20,000 to $30,000 a piece. The Lucas drone, which was inspired by the Shahid and in fact was reverse engineered, is just slightly more costly at about $35,000. An Israeli suicide drone with similar capabilities called the Harop costs about $1 million. India operates these drones. Slightly more capable drones like the Hermes, which are more for surveillance, they cost about $6 million. The MQ-9 Reaper, which is the Rolls-Royce of attack drones, which are capable of firing missiles and staying in the air for extended periods of time, can you believe it? They cost about $30 million a piece. And then there's the Global Hawk, which is a very, very long range, very high altitude, absolutely advanced drone for surveillance purposes, costs $100 million, about as much as an advanced fighter aircraft. So where is $35,000 and where is $30 million? That is the kind of mathematics we're talking about, and that is the kind of range of prices we're talking about as far as drones are concerned. Now, a dirt cheap drone versus $1 million interceptor. I want you to think about this arithmetic as well, my friends. The cost of one Shahid drone or one Lucas drone is about $20,000 to $35,000, okay? The cost of one interceptor missile, one single interceptor missile that Israel or any other country will be forced to fire in order to intercept such a drone, costs anywhere between $1 million to $4 million. So you're firing a drone that costs about $20,000 and you're forcing your enemy to fire something as much as $4 million just to bring that down. The cost exchange ratio is 1:100 in favor of the attacker, and that is the advantage of such a drone. Iran's drone stockpile right now of Shahid drones is understood to be in the region of 80,000. Just think about that figure, 80,000 of those drones. The production capacity, 500 drones a month. Iran can fire 2,500 Shahid drones a day for the next 30 days if it has to, just to exhaust its existing stockpile. These are, of course, numbers that may come into question depending on the attacks that continue against Iran, but these are just some numbers to think about at this point of time.
Operation Epic Fury, a sweeping military strike on Iran following the collapse of nuclear negotiations, was ordered by the US President Donald Trump on Saturday. But what led to the dramatic escalation? We break that down for you here on NDTV.
A gripping timeline of decisions and drama that led to Operation Epic Fury, the US strike against Iran. This is how it all unfolded in a matter of a few hours.
I'm not happy with the fact that they're not willing to give us what we have to have.
US President Donald Trump exits the White House, visibly frustrated by stalled nuclear negotiations with Tehran. Aboard Air Force One en route to Texas, Trump makes a historic and controversial decision. He orders the launch of Operation Epic Fury. Landing in Texas, Trump briefly fields questions but declines to confirm the strike order publicly. The world begins to sense something monumental is unfolding. Fast forward 9 hours. US forces, alongside Israeli allies, execute coordinated attacks across Iran. Bombs rain down across air, land, and sea. A vast military operation underway. On social media, Trump sends shockwaves across the globe as he announces that Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has been killed.
Did you know 80% of software engineers would need reskilling by the year 2027? That's not me inventing stats. That's a Gartner report talking. What's needed right now is an upskilling curriculum that is aligned with what the industry needs. And Scalar's AI and ML course is exactly that. From mastering tools like Tableau to building portfolio projects, at Scalar, you'll be learning by building. Be on the right side of this reskilling gap. Request a call back today.
Israel has intensified its attack on Hezbollah. Fresh strikes in Lebanon taking place. This is a part of their concerted effort to eliminate the Hezbollah faction, which has been seen as a proxy in terms of the war against Israel with the support of Iran. Ghazali joining me live. Ghazali, there is this effort to continue striking Hezbollah at this point, like I said, being seen as a proxy in this war in support of Iran.
See, the entire intent is not just to weaken Hezbollah. Hezbollah is already weakened, but
Yes.
It's also to put pressure on the Lebanese government that their forces should not come in between while this ground invasion by Israel into the southern side of Lebanon has initiated since yesterday. So there are a lot of civilian casualties which is happening, and attacks are not just happening on the outskirts of Beirut, but it is happening in the city center areas, in the civilian areas. Yesterday also multi-story buildings and many multi-story buildings have come down crashing after aerial strikes by Israel. So it's like Israel is going all out against Hezbollah. Anything remotely even linked to Hezbollah, the financial institutions or any other center which has any link with Hezbollah has come under attack, but it is also taking down a lot of innocent human lives as well.
Okay, Ghazali, thanks for joining me live on that developing story. We, of course, will bring all the developments here on Breaking Ground to our viewers. That's the latest that we have for you. Fresh Israeli strikes in Lebanon. Now, former U.S. Secretary advisor's Iran war prediction says a timeline cannot be put on the war in Iran. My colleague Padmaja Joshi spoke with him. Listen in.
The first question is naturally about how long do you think at this point this war is going to last? It was initially reported that this would be a quick in and out decapitation operation. Now we're in day 4.
Well, the story changes quite a bit. And that's a problem for Trump because he has not really carefully defined what his objectives are. And of course, achieving the objectives determines how long the operation has to continue. What he started off by saying was that it would be a regime change operation, which implies a fairly significant campaign to help destroy the instruments of state power that threaten the United States and its friends and allies in the Middle East. And it begins to convince people at the top of the regime that their days are numbered unless they go over to the opposition. Trump has changed his mind on this, and his subordinates are all over the place in terms of what they say the objectives are. One thing we can be certain of is that regime change is Israel's #1 objective. And we're obviously working closely with Israel, so that's what they're going to be after. Trump has said in the past 24 hours he thinks it might be 4 or 5 weeks, but he's prepared to go longer. And he's also prepared, if need be, to put boots on the ground. We probably have some there on the ground already, but in more substantial quantities. So Trump has a political problem in the United States, to be sure, and explaining and justifying why he's doing this. But in terms of the operation itself, I think 4 to 5 weeks is a minimum. I think this could take months.
What do you think is the objective of this operation? Because we've heard of regime change. We heard of how this was a preemptive strike. We've heard of how Iran was planning to assassinate President Donald Trump. And we've also heard of how they wanted to wipe out any capability that Iran has to develop nukes. So what really is the end goal of this operation?
Well, I still think it's inconclusive. It certainly is the case, by the way, that Iran has tried to assassinate Donald Trump. They've tried to assassinate me, too, because of the successful strike against Qasem Soleimani, then the head of the Quds Force in January of 2020 in Trump's first term. I don't think that's his main motivational factor. I think what Trump wants to do is eliminate Iran's nuclear weapons program, and destroy its ballistic missile program and hopefully eliminate its support for terrorism. My logic may be different from Trump's because I think the only way you can achieve those objectives, which I think are legitimate, is to eliminate the regime. He may be prepared to stop short of that. He has said again within the past 24 hours that he looks at Venezuela as a template. That, in other words, you take out the top leader or a few and then deal with who's left. I think that's a mistake in Venezuela, but in any event, Iran is not Venezuela. The state, the rule of the Ayatollahs is much, much deeper than simply the supreme leader. To have a real regime change, you've got to go very deep into that leadership cadre and eliminate the Revolutionary Guard, which is why a campaign to achieve those objectives will take some extended period, I think.
John Bolton there, exclusive with Padmaja Joshi. Moving on, an Iranian drone has struck near the U.S. consulate in Dubai, triggering a security scare in the Gulf. According to U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, a Shahid 136 drone slammed into a parking lot adjacent to the consulate building yesterday, sparking a small fire. Rubio confirmed that all U.S. personnel are accounted for. Dubai authorities say the blaze was quickly extinguished and no casualties were reported. In the aftermath, police ramped up security, sealed off roads around the consulate, and increased patrol presence overnight. I have live with me Anjana Sarkar from Abu Dhabi. Anjana, thanks for joining me live at this point. We've just heard from our folks in Dubai about what happened near the U.S. consulate. From you, I want to understand the aftermath of it all. Tell us more about the flights in the area. Are they taking off or not? The mood in the region at this point, because even while you do have people walking on the streets, that sense of nervousness remains, especially after what we're seeing on our screens from last night.
Thank you for having me. Yes, we did have a strike on the U.S. consulate, as was confirmed by the U.S. authorities and also by the UAE authorities. There was a fire, basically. I think the target, the debris fell near a parking lot, which is very close to the building. And the consulate building in Dubai is somewhere in an urban area. So the roads around the place, around the building, has been sealed off. And there's definitely something that we have to look into is Iran had 2 days ago said they will continue attacking the U.S. targets, the U.S. assets in the Gulf region. And we saw the strike at the U.S. embassy in Riyadh. And now the very next day, we see this here at the consulate. So Iran is definitely escalating the strikes, the U.S. assets. And if you ask me about the worry in the region, of course, this is one of the safest country. And on 4th consecutive days, when these strikes keep happening, and these are indiscriminate strikes, I must say, into the urban areas, into the economic and tourist hub of the UAE. But one thing I want to tell your audience through this live is, when it comes to these escalations, there are two major fears for the people residing in the UAE. And those two fears have been clearly categorically allayed by the UAE authorities. So I will tell you these two fears. One is definitely, if these escalations continue, if these aerial threats continue, how long can the country defend itself? That's a question a lot of people were asking, debating. So yesterday, the top authorities of the UAE said UAE possess enough multi-layered dynamic air defense systems that can sustain this defense, and they can do it even if Iran continues this indefinitely. So that is allaying this fear and nervousness. The second fear is definitely how we will feed the population here in the UAE, because this is a country which is totally dependent on imports for food items. And that also the UAE has said, because, there could be panic buying. People were discussing about, should we be stocking up food? But the UAE authorities have clearly said that they have enough, the supplies are steady, and they have enough to last for at least 4 to 6 months.
All right.
So I think in that sense, there is no panic, there is no anxiety or fear in the UAE.
Anjana, thanks for joining me live there from Abu Dhabi. We'll keep coming back to you for more. But now I'm also joined by Raja Karthikeya. He's an expert on Iran. Thank you for joining me here on Breaking Ground, Raja. You've spent years inside Iran's political and security ecosystem and were there during the 2025 war, if I'm not mistaken. From your understanding of the regime's power structure, how stable is the system right now after the killing of Khamenei, and who really is in control of the decision-making in Tehran, Raja?
Thank you for having me on the show, Vedika. Iran has, since 1979, the Islamic Republic has a fairly robust structure. It has a very strong state apparatus. There are at least 4 parts of the state. There is the part of the state that is made up of clerics, and then there is a part of the state that consists of the parliament, and then there is the IRGC, the Revolutionary Guard, And then there is the state apparatus that consists of bureaucrats, highly qualified technocrats. Now, as far as the power structure is concerned, on the top certainly is the clerical system, and that's where you have two bodies. One is called the Assembly of Experts, which only meets every once in a while, and they're responsible for selecting a new supreme leader, and they also have the power to impeach a supreme leader. So right now, the idea is to reconvene an Assembly of Experts in order to select a new supreme leader after the death of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. In the interim, there is a transition council, as you have seen, which, as per the Iranian constitution, it consists of the president, the chief justice, and a senior member of the Guardian Council. And this is the other major clerical body. The Guardian Council effectively works as the upper house of parliament. They check whether every law passed by parliament is in adherence to the form of Sharia that is practiced in Iran, and they are quite influential. So one of the senior most clerics, that is Ayatollah Arifi, actually, he is part of this transition council. So this transition council is governing Iran. While,
yes, Raja, do stay with me for a moment, because I want to come back to you in a moment from now, even on Mojtaba Khamenei, who is now the center of power in Tehran. Reports say Iran's Assembly of Experts have elected Mojtaba Khamenei as the country's new supreme leader, succeeding his father, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who was killed last month on the 28th of February. The move marks a dramatic and historic transition in the Islamic Republic. Mojtaba Khamenei, the second son of Khamenei, is widely seen as a powerful figure behind the scenes. In his father's office, he is believed to be to have and enjoy close ties with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, and is known for his hardline conservative views. He holds a clerical rank below the full status of Ayatollah, making his elevation both politically and religiously significant. Iran now enters a new chapter with power staying firmly within the Khamenei family. Raja, coming back to you, let's just talk about the man that I have just told our viewers more about in this case. I want to understand from you how symbolic, how significant is this power passing on from the father to the son?
Frankly, I'm not so sure. I mean, I understand this succession, has been endorsed by the Assembly of Experts. I'm not sure how popular it will be, even among the clergy, because there were multiple candidates for the role of the supreme leader. There was also, for example, the former president Raisi, who was killed in an air crash in 2024, was also considered a candidate. Now, there are a few members from the Guardian Council who are also talked about as candidates. The role of the supreme leader of the Iranian revolution, that's the full title of this particular role. It's something that's very unique to Iran. It's slightly above the president, and it was never meant to be hereditary. I mean, any possibility of something being hereditary in this case, would if it is perceived as being hereditary, I'm sure it will lead to more controversy. And I'm not sure that this is going to help the system consolidate.
Okay.
Maybe it's possible in the immediate term. Despite people grumbling, they rally around him. But I'm sure there will be a lot of grumbling right now.
All right. Thanks for joining me there, Raja. Appreciate you being with us here on Breaking Ground this afternoon. I have another guest joining me now. She is Elnaz Narouzi, an Iranian actor. Elnaz, thank you for speaking to me here on Breaking Ground. There's so much happening in Iran right now. You were born in Iran and lived there as a child, if I'm not mistaken. Have you been speaking to your friends, perhaps your family within Iran right now? What's the sense you're getting of the mood there while this conflict has entered day 5?
Hi, thank you for having me. Well, at the moment, I don't have any communication with my family or friends in Iran, as there is a blackout again, like always when there is unrest in Iran. We do know that we were told to stay at home and not go out. so that all the civilians are safe. That's what President Trump has said, and that's what our Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi has said, for everybody to be inside their homes because that's where they're safe. And to be very honest, when the protests happened in January or even in December, people felt more unsafe then than they're feeling now during a war.
Elnaz, I want to understand from you, we were just speaking to Raja there about the succession that has been reported, that Khamenei's second eldest son will be taking over as the supreme leader. What's the sense you're getting? You've been, you were born and brought up in Iran. You have friends there. I'm sure there have been conversations around this right now. Of course, a blackout has impeded your conversations with them. But what is your reaction to this news coming in?
See, just like always in the past 47 years, there are people coming into power that the Iranian people have not chosen. The same happened with Ali Khamenei. Now there is another supreme leader coming that nobody has chosen. The whole point in Iran and what Iranians are trying to communicate since many, many, many years, 47 to be precise, is the fact that we would like to choose our leader. We would like to vote. If you remember, in 2009, there was a huge protest. Millions and millions of people came on the roads and they were chanting, "Where is our vote?" That was the whole point. And there also a lot of people died because people realized this is not the person we voted for, but this is the person who's in office now. So this has been going on for 47 years, and now they're choosing another supreme leader again. They just chose a supreme leader, Arafi, who none of the Iranians really knew. And then they striked him and killed him as well. Now it's going to be the son of Ali Khamenei, which again, nobody has chosen. So we have no comments to that. What are we going to say?
Elnaz, you were born in Iran and you lived there as a child, as I pointed out right at the top. Tell me about your earliest memories of growing up under that system. You've spoken about being stopped by the morality police. When was it that your family eventually left Iran? What was the moment your parents realized it's time to leave?
I don't think there was a moment where my parents realized they need to leave during my childhood. I think this is something they knew when the revolution happened in 1979. I was born into this whole mess. Me and many other Iranians were born into this. And for as long as I remember, my parents were talking about leaving because life was already so terrible in Iran. And unfortunately, this is such a sad, sad part of our lives that so many Iranians, more than 5 million Iranians are in the diaspora, and they live in America, in Australia, in Europe, all over the world because they don't have great lives in Iran. And when I look at the situation right now, my heart breaks for each and every Iranian that is inside of Iran but didn't have the chance to leave. Because this is not a conversation of yesterday or a month back or a year back. This is a conversation that's been going on since 47 years. My parents have lived it. My generation has lived it. The generation after me is living it. And unfortunately, you cannot make 19 million Iranians leave the country. So what you have to do is get the country back. And that's what Iranians have been trying forever and ever. The only problem is that right now, everybody cares about it because of the war. But before this, we Iranians have been talking about this constantly, but nobody would really hear us.
Before I let you go, what would your message be to fellow Iranians, those who are held in the midst of this conflict within the country?
I really don't know what kind of a message I can give the Iranians within the country. The only thing that we can say is stay strong, stay in your homes, hope for better days. We know, all of the Iranians know that there is no other way out other than getting help from the outside. For many, many years, people go on the roads, protest. Every 1 or 2 years, there are big, big protests. The regime retaliates with killing the innocent civilians. So the civilians go back into their homes. go back to the normal lives that they have, the normal lives where they have to literally take loans to buy eggs, where they have no jobs, no work, no future. All we can say is we hope that the world wakes up and understands that we need help because we're empty-handed.
Elnaz, thank you for speaking to me here on Breaking Ground. Of course, this is a difficult moment for you as well as fellow Iranians, not only inside Iran at this point, but across the world. Thank you once again for taking time out to speak to us on this Mideast crisis. Submit to a short break. News and updates will continue in moments from now here on Breaking Ground. Stay tuned.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand. Motorola Signature, India's #1 camera phone. Grab Motorola Signature today.
आपको शायद पता नहीं होगा, अपार ने आईएनएस विक्रांत के लिए 150 से ज्यादा तरह के केबल्स बनाए हैं। देश के टॉर्पीडोस में भी हैं अपार के केबल्स। वंदे भारत भी अपार के केबल से ही स्पीड पकड़ती है और यही वायर्स और केबल्स हमारे घरों को भी पावर करते हैं। विश्वास इसमें अपार, तभी तो ये है देश का तार।
From 1983 to now, I have seen cricket evolve, but the mindset to win never changed. I tell you that what win matches and what doesn't. This T20 World Cup, let's talk cricket, controversies and more on NDTV.
Straight from the heart of the newsroom to the core of the stories shaping your world. Join me, Gargi Raut, as I track all the developments as they break. Live from the NDTV newsroom, weekdays at 4 p.m.
The stage that brings together India's most compelling creative voices,
एनडीटीवी का क्रिएटर मंच है
where stories are shared, ideas are exchanged, and culture takes center stage.
जब देश पे हमला होगा तो सब एक।
आजकल चल क्या रहा है सिचुएशनशिप, आपको पता क्या होता है?
कभी मैं कह नहीं पाया।
It's okay, yeah.
NDTV Creators Munch, where creative India comes together.
हो सकता है ये कहानी बन जाए और क्रिएटर्स मंच के नाम से किसी दिन मैं रिलीज कर दूं।
2 powerful days, 14th-15th March, Sundar Nursery, New Delhi.
First India tour in your city. Rock on with Shankar Ehsan Loy and Siddharth Mahadevan and Shivam Mahadevan. 5 times melody, 5 times masti with NDTV Good Times. Go, grab your tickets.
The front lines of Kargil. The fury of Operation Sindhu.
So many attacks.
The chaos and cries of disaster zones. To fighter jet cockpits. And the world's most defining interviews.
It's incredible.
He has seen history break. Live, unfiltered. 20,000 hours of live broadcasting.
Welcome to Left, Right, and Center.
Hard facts.
War-struck country.
Hard questions.
In the Ukraine.
30 years of trust.
In the Kargil area. North Ukraine. In France, in Italy. At Srinagar. Hi, Mr. Trump. Vishnu Shom for NDTV.
Vishnu Shom. Only on NDTV.
घंटी बजे जिंगल 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 बसा।
All right, team, our new order show is ready. Now we need a promo. Something cool, something sharp.
Well, I'm sure we'll be having outstanding reviews, solid suggestions,
Expert advice, the latest trends. It's a lot simpler. We'll help people make the right auto decisions. It's got the cool stuff, geeky stuff, serious stuff, all of it, so that you can discover, decide, and drive. I'm Siddharth Sharma, and I am your automate.
After the roaring success in Delhi, Hyderabad and Mumbai, the
Welcome back. Over the last 48 hours, India has reviewed its energy and trade situation with Union Minister Piyush Goyal informing that a key meeting has already taken place between stakeholder ministries. Goyal said that an interministerial group for supply chain resilience has been created, comprising members from Department of Financial Services, Ministries of External Affairs, Shipping, Ports, Petroleum, and even Customs. The minister assured that the government is committed to enabling a stable and responsive trade environment for our traders and exporters amid rising tensions. Goyal's statements come after government sources yesterday confirmed that India was in a comfortable position with over 6 to 8 weeks of crude reserves and ample LPG, LNG stocks. Meanwhile, as low-cost drones are making waves, India is quietly making its own indigenous Sheshnag drone. First images of the indigenous drone have emerged. NDTV's managing editor brings you more.
This is called the Sheshnag. It's a drone that is currently making headway in trials and development tests that are taking place in Karnataka. I've gotten my hands on the first new images of Sheshnag as it undergoes those trials towards possible adoption by the Indian Armed Forces. It is a cheap-to-build swarming attack drone that is guided by very advanced algorithms and software code that allows them to swarm and saturate enemy defenses. And in fact, Samir Joshi, who runs the company that's pioneering these drones, is right here live with us on the show. Samir, to you first then, great to see the Sheshnag, making headway in developments. I can imagine how complicated it is, to get a product like this out there and develop it and test it in this manner. What can you tell us about it? Because you've got the war going on in Iran. Machines very much like this one are out there and being used in combat. Tell us a little bit about the Sheshnag. What does it bring to the table?
Yeah, so Shiv, Sheshnag is exactly what you have been talking about for a while. We realized that creation of that mass, especially coming from how the initial Shahid class drones and the Russian version of the Gerans were used across in Ukraine, and we still see these effects. They're only getting more potent. We definitely see that the spectrum of weapon systems available to the Indian MOD over a period of time will feature some very high precision, high targeting platforms like BrahMos, the Scalp air launch platforms, down to the route to something more, cheaper, more available in numbers, which can be scaled very fast, and more important, which can be used as a mask to penetrate layered air defense. So that is where we started working on the Sheshnag. Sheshnag is largely the mythological snake, which has many heads. So this system, being a swarming system, is kind of inspired by that name. So this system is also something which can package a huge amount of explosives together in sync with similar platforms across the world. So we are aiming for a 1,000 kilometer range and carrying a large package of a warhead, which may be significant to the mission needs of the armed forces.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has condemned Iran attacking the Gulf countries in the last 48 hours. Prime Minister Modi spoke with 9 Gulf leaders, condemning the attack and discussing regional stability.
With the Middle East war escalating, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has not just condemned the attacks, but has also been speaking with all prominent Gulf leaders, further condemning the military strikes by Iran in these countries and also signaling deep disapproval of Tehran's indiscriminate targeting of Gulf countries. In the last 48 hours, Prime Minister Modi has spoken with 8 world leaders in the Gulf region, safeguarding nearly 9 million Indians living in West Asia. The rapid series of calls comes as attacks in parts of the Gulf have raised concerns over the safety of the Indian diaspora and the stability of a region critical to India's strategic and economic interests. In the last 48 hours, Prime Minister Modi has spoken with 8 world leaders: UAE, Israel, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Bahrain, Oman, Kuwait, Qatar. During the conversation, Prime Minister Modi condemned the attacks on the Gulf countries and conveyed India's concerns and discussed the well-being of Indian community in their country. Among the latest conversations was a phone call with the Amir of Qatar, Tamim bin Ahmed Al Thani, during which Prime Minister Modi condemned the attacks on Qatar and thanked the Amir for the support and care extended to the Indian community in the country. The centre has been closely monitoring the situation, with the Cabinet Committee on Security also reviewing developments and directing all required assistance should be extended to affected Indians. India has clearly spelled out its stance and has called for de-escalation, regional peace, security, and stability. Further asserting New Delhi's consistent position in favor of the peaceful resolution of conflicts. India has called for maximum restraint as well. In its official response to the rapidly evolving situation, the government said that it is deeply concerned about the developments in Iran and Gulf region and emphasized that dialogue and diplomacy should be pursued to end tensions.
On that note, we're sipping a short break. I'll be back with the headlines and top stories on this rolling coverage on NDTV 24/7 in moments from now. Stay tuned.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand. Motorola Signature, India's #1 camera phone. Grab Motorola Signature today.
इनको यहाँ से जाना ही होगा।
There is no bigger battle in 2026. And nobody has reported Bengal like I have. Buckle up for an unforgettable election thriller. Will the BJP breach Mamta's fortress?
टीएमसी जावे, बीजेपी आसमे।
Can Didi fight off her life's biggest challenge?
BJP double engine sarkar এই লড়াই বাঁচতে হবে।
Battleground Bengal with Manogya Loiwal.
What seems settled for me is unfinished business. So I rewind. I pause. I reflect. I dig until what's buried stands up to be counted. Breaking ground, not just headlines, the meaning behind them. This is Breaking Ground with me, Vedika Sood.
West Asia at war. Netanyahu thanks Prime Minister on NDTV.
I spoke to our great friend, Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Spoke to him at length yesterday. Thanked him for his standing with Israel, standing for the truth.
Israel opposition leader Yair Lapid speaks to NDTV.
Is there going to be an Iranian Gandhi who will free his own people from oppression? So it's up to them.
Israel Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar on NDTV.
Israel and US going to leave Iran in a complete chaos? Do you think that there will be a civilian leader who could take over?
Not Israel and not the US will decide who will lead the Iranian people.
The voices that matter speak first and exclusive to NDTV.
Across the country, he has tracked the pulse of power from Washington to Korea. Witnessed history being made in global capitals and conflict zones. Brought clarity to complex issues of national security and international affairs. Aditya Rajkol, covering international affairs like no one else, only on NDTV network.
The man behind Roaring Lion.
Can you say a word?
Israel's warfighter prime minister on NDTV.
I spoke to our great friend, Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Spoke to him at length yesterday. Thanked him for his standing with Israel, standing for the truth, and for the enormous friendship of the people of India. They are much admired and loved in Israel. And I won't get into the details of the conversation, but I've spoken to him and I've spoken to many other leaders in the region and beyond. Thank you.
First word since he declared war on Iran.
Just behind me, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
An NDTV world exclusive to Aditya Rajkol. Benjamin Netanyahu on NDTV.
In a month that moved markets, shifted diplomacy,
Affect the entire world.
and stirred political battlegrounds, India chose its news carefully. NDTV India and NDTV 24/7, #1 on YouTube. NDTV Network, streaming India's trust, leading India's conversations.
From 1983 to now, I have seen cricket evolve, but the mindset to win never changed. I tell you that what win matches and what doesn't. This T20 World Cup, let's talk cricket, controversies and more on NDTV.
Straight from the heart of the newsroom to the core of the stories shaping your world. Join me, Gargi Raut, as I track all the developments as they break. Live from the NDTV newsroom, weekdays at 4 p.m.